think every long-term solo traveler or long-term travelers in general do know these phases. And honestly, I would honestly say every traveler goes through these 5 phases of traveling. And if not, well, maybe there's a crack in my theory or there's something wrong with you. So I don't know. Let's go into it. Let's figure it out. And actually, I really wanted to do this podcast episode for quite a while because obviously I love traveling, but I struggle, I admit it. And yeah, that's why I thought, like, hey, actually maybe it always repeats itself. Like every time when I go on a long-term journey by myself, these 5 phases repeat themselves, and I don't know why, but it's just a thing. And starting off with it, like, the first phase is the romantic, delusional phase. How I love to call it, like, it's you are Delulu a little bit, right? So, before the trip even starts, you romanticize everything. And I'm a huge fan of romanticizing because it just, I don't know, it just gives flavor, taste, whatever to your life a little bit. It makes it just happy, and you think like, yes, this will be it. You imagine like the sunset, the hostels, the vibe, the food, like how you improve yourself, how you learn a new skill, whatever. And the thing is, so in my head I always have to think that every problem will magically disappear just because I'm wearing a backpack. And I mean, that's Delulu. As I said, the Delulu phase, and you think your life will be changed forever. Which is actually true, but in a different way, right? And then, starting off, there comes the second phase. And I think this one is probably the most generous one because you feel like the main character at the airport. So the first phase stopped, so you are done with planning and romanticizing, and now it's actually gonna go to your adventure. You're heading off, and usually you do it at the airport. I mean, of course, you can also do it at the train station. It applies as well. It doesn't matter where, but you're finally starting your journey. And I don't know, you suddenly feel super excited, like, yeah, I can do it. I'm the main character. Everything is slow-mo when I'm walking down the aisle for departure time. And yeah, the plane, you board, you feel like, yes, it's starting. You meet new people. You have new interesting talks. You have small talk. I don't know, you connect with people and everything feels, yes, that's it. And yeah, I think this is the phase where you really think like, everything is great. Maybe it's like you're high, you know, like when you're feeling so good, you love it. I think that is the point, like second phase. And I made the realization that the second phase, it always depended actually. So I've been on long-term travels so far now for 3 times. And every time it hit at a different point. And honestly, this time, if I'm really honest, this phase was very, very short. It's really sad, but yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much. So, and then the middle phase. I think honestly, this can be the most, I don't know, crazy one. Or it's basically, you're pushing away finally your pink glasses and see reality, because the third phase is when reality hits hard, right? Because after a while of traveling and enjoying yourself, right, and consuming, I mean, at the beginning usually we do consumption travel, right? But after a while, your fantasy, I would say, it starts a little bit of cracking, because not everything is as glossy, as bloomy as you thought it would be, right? And you also realize that traveling do not fix all your problems. They're still there, just in another country, and yeah, they're still there. And I personally, for me, the most crazy part actually is I love to talk. I love talking with people, but after a while, the small talk, I just can't. You come to a new place and it's always the same BS again. Where are you from? What are you doing next? And where have you been traveled to, right? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's kind of draining because you felt like I had this conversation around 100 times and I don't gain anything from it. It feels like draining, like my soul feels like, hey, is this really it? I want more. And I always start to feel a little bit empty in this face, and it's actually crazy because technically I'm living my dream, like I'm traveling and I should be super grateful, but it's draining and it's not as enjoyable as I thought it would be, right? And coming up next, honestly, and I think this is the most brutal one, and that's the crisis phase. The actually crisis where you question everything. So when I'm feeling empty, my head starts to think, and I'm a chronic overthinker. I'm not proud of it, but I mean, what can I do? What can I say? And so the crisis phase starts. I feel like, what am I doing here? Why? Do I even like travel? Am I ungrateful I'm living the dream. People would love to be in my position, but I don't enjoy it. And then, like, the weight is pushing down on me, and I feel like, fuck, did I do something wrong? And especially with the part of when people tell me, hey, you're all the time on vacation, you should be grateful, I feel like it's not that. I am not really on vacation because in long-term travels, you are facing hard realities. Like, you have to figure out everything by yourself. You have to go through, dramas, or also to be honest, you have to go through like dangerous situations as well, and you have to figure out everything by yourself. And being by yourself and becoming happy and comfortable with yourself, I think this is a journey. This is literally hard work. And also most of us who do long-term travel, we work in addition, like mostly online, or you do volunteering, because otherwise, if you're not born rich, you cannot afford it, I would say, especially when you're off for 2-3 years, right? And anyway, so in the crisis phase, I really feel unhappy. I feel like I have a burnout of traveling, a burnout of moving places every time, and I just feel, man, I thought it would be better. I thought I would be happy. I thought traveling is my way of living, and I should always travel to feel connected, to feel alive. That's actually a huge thing. Like, I have FOMO, so obviously traveling is great because you experience a lot. But even then, I question myself, like, is this the right thing? And honestly, I always cry. I always think, I always question myself. I stare into the void, into nothingness, trying to find a solution. And it's hard. It's really hard because I really think of, hey, what do I want? Like, I talk about my problems. I think, honestly, this is the phase where you're most honest with yourself. Because usually we are all living in like a made-up fantasy world, I think, or we romanticize stuff, or we distract ourselves. And I think when we're distracting ourselves with our phone, with a book, whatever, it feels easy, right? It eases off the pain, the heaviness of the situation in general. But if you are dealing with yourself, and if you're spending a lot of time with yourself, really thinking and questioning your life, yeah, and you feel shit. Honestly, let's say it like it is. If you feel shit within your crisis phase, and you're not happy, you're just honest with yourself. And for me, I came to the conclusion, like, yeah, I love traveling, but it's not the best way for me to fix everything. Like, traveling is fun, but I need a purpose. I need purpose, otherwise I feel drained, because I cannot consume only traveling, experience new things. I want to give something back. I don't want to be just dramatic or anything, but I think if you're honest with yourself within this phase, yeah, you just stop pretending. And I mean, it can be ugly. Like, sometimes your inner demons come out, and you realize, oh man, I have to work on a lot. But I think that's good. It's honesty, right? And I think honesty is very important. So after all these phases, right? Like, after the mental breakdowns, the crazy thoughts, the crying, whatever, the best phase is starting. And I think this is the most joyful one and the most honest one, because it's not built on an illusion. It's not in your fantasy, it's not your imagination, it's the reality. And that is when joy hits hard. Like, the deeper joy phase, as I would say it. And I would just say, after all overthinking, something shifts. In every one of us. In literally everyone. There is no one who is like the same. No. If you have gone through, especially phase 4, which is ugly, brutally, and honest, and you finally made it to the 5th stage, you will enjoy solo traveling. Because you realize, hey, I do not need everyday excitement, and I also don't need my travel to be perfect. It is my life. You can do what you want to do, and you don't need to show off, right? And that can mean, like, hey, I'm a nature person. I want to find meaning in that. Hey, I want to do volunteering. I want to do that. Hey, I want to connect with other people from different countries. This is all a valid reason. So if you got a purpose and you find yourself enjoying again because you realized, hey, everything in my head was just built up and it was not reality, but now I'm in a stage where I think, hey, I can finally understand. I think this is the point where you will love solo traveling. And honestly, I know a lot of friends who never made it to phase 5. They're just like stuck within, yeah, I would just say like phase 3 and 4. Like, they're overthinking, but they don't want to do the work. Like, you're having a crisis and it's really hard. And honestly, like, it is not cool when you're living apparently everyone else's dream, but you're sitting in your hostel bed and you cry and you cannot stop and you think, like, why am I doing this, right? And when you have to overthink your own life and overcome your inner demons, I'd say, yeah, you get automatically stronger. You're willing to do the work. And if you're not, like, I know people who are just stopping there and be like, you know what, solo traveling is not for me, I'm gonna go home. And that is okay, that is fine, but you never made it to the best stage. And the best stage is literally when you're happy with yourself and you don't need anyone. And this is honestly, I think, a good opportunity also to develop your social connections, or like your relationships in general, because you're seeking not for validation anymore. You're not seeking for, hey, the other person need to make me happy. And it doesn't matter if we're talking here about friendship or relationships. It really doesn't matter. And I think this is great. So there's a shift. And then, yeah, I think when this shift happened, that you're sitting alone somewhere, drinking your coffee, enjoying yourself, not needing any distractions, you made it. Congratulations, you made it. And I think this is exactly where solo traveling becomes real. And with real, I mean, it's just not perfect, it's not always exciting, but it is yours. And that is the most important thing, right? We should live for ourselves. We should live in reality. We should enjoy it still. And I think, honestly, these 5 phases are actually good. And I think they're quite accurate. I mean, if I'm missing out on something, or if you have another opinion on it, please write it down in the comments. And yeah, just subscribe for more content every Tuesday. And I don't know. I personally just think what I actually want to say with this podcast episode, that solo traveling starts most of the time as a fantasy, a little bit delulu, and it turns into a crisis. But then it just becomes reality and self-trust, like you're just stronger than before. And yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Thanks for listening, and see you next week!